First contact. In the cold depths of space, an iridescent ship glided silently through the void. The ISS Frontier, pride of the Terran Galactic Federation fleet, patrolled the edges of human-controlled space under the command of Captain Asha Singh. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up an anomaly. Lieutenant Commander Tao Chen reported from the op station. Energy signatures consistent with a large fleet dropping out of hyperspace. Asha frowned. This sector was far from any major trade routes or colonies, who could be arriving in such numbers unannounced. Raise shields and put the ship on yellow alert, she ordered calmly. Hail them and transmit standard first contact protocols. She studied the view screen as dozens of alien ships materialized. They were shaped like spiraling seashells, pearlescent hulls rippling with opalescent energy. Asha felt a chill run down her spine. Though she'd never seen them in person, she recognized these ships from classified briefings. It was the Shkarana, a zealous, authoritarian regime that styled itself the Galactic Empire. Humanoid, but taller and leaner than Terrans, with smooth gray skin and dark, pupilless eyes. Shkarana were known for their powerful psychic abilities and belief in their own prophesied galactic dominance. This is High Consular Kazan of the Galactic Empire. A melodious voice filled the bridge, dripping with arrogance. The view screen showed a statuesque gray alien in ornate red robes. Your species is in violation of Galactic Law XT-47, prohibiting the development of certain technologies. Surrender your worlds for processing and enlightenment or be destroyed. Asha rose from her chair, drawing up to her full height. This is Captain Singh of the Terran Galactic Federation. You have no authority here, Consular. I suggest you turn your fleet around and go in peace. The Consular's eyes flashed white with anger. You dare defy the will of the stars. This system, this galaxy, belong to the Empire by divine right. Surrender now and your species may yet serve, or be obliterated and swept into the cosmic dust. I will not ask again, Asha replied coldly. Leave. Now. So be it. The Consular snarled. All ships, open fire. Wipe this insignificant species from the face of the galaxy. Asha slammed the button to sound general quarters. Klaxons blared and warning lights flashed as the Frontier's crew raced to battle stations. On the view screen, the Empire ships began to glow as they powered up weapons. Humanity had known this day would come. They had been preparing for years, ever since the first cryptic subspace beings hinted at the Shkarana's existence and intentions. The Frontier and her crew were ready. It was time to show this galactic empire what humans were made of. The space between the two fleets erupted in blinding light as a salvo of energy beams and plasma projectiles crossed the void at significant fractions of light speed. Asha gripped the arms of her command chair as the deck shuddered beneath her boots. The war for the galaxy had begun. The deception revealed. High Consular Kazan allowed himself a small smile of satisfaction as his fleet's opening salvo slammed into the human ship's energy shields in blinding flashes of light. The fools had actually tried to stand against the might of the Galactic Empire. They would quickly learn the error of their impertinence. All ships, continue firing, he ordered languidly. Crush them, decisively. His words cut off in disbelief as the human ships, impossibly, shot forward into the teeth of the Empire's onslaught at ridiculous accelerations. Energy beams splashed harmlessly off their shields as they bobbed and weaved through the firestorm with preternatural agility. Impossible, Kazan exclaimed. No biological entity could withstand such accelerations. The human ships closed to nearly point-blank range and erupted in a flurry of missiles and energy beams, striking the Empire ships again and again before zipping away and vanishing among the energy signatures of the battle. Damage reports flooded in as void shields collapsed and hulls buckled under the savage assault. Kazan watched in mounting rage and horror as a third of his fleet fell into ruin in the space of 56 standard seconds. How could this be happening? Terran technology was supposed to be centuries behind the Empire's glorious conquest of physics and engineering. His eyes widened as realization struck like divine lightning. The humans had been concealing their true capabilities, deliberately displaying a technological and societal primitivism to lure the Empire into this trap. A cold knot clenched in his gut as his mind raced through the ramifications. If the humans were this advanced, if their ploy had worked this well, what else had they planned? On the bridge of the frontier, Captain Singh allowed herself a small, fierce smile as her ship shuddered from a glancing blow. The Empire fleet adapt and overcome. In the molten heart of a shattered planet, circling a guttering orange sun, Jean knelt before a towering hologram. His head was bowed, black eyes wide with barely suppressed terror. "You have failed me, Consular," rumbled the massive image. It depicted a Shkarana of such age and power that reality itself seemed to waver around its edges. "Divine One, I beg your forgiveness." Kazan grovelled. "The humans, they tricked us. Their technology is—" "Silence," the Divine One thundered. Kazan's jaws clacked shut so hard he tasted blood. "I am aware of what transpired. The humans have made fools of us. They will pay dearly for this." The hologram shimmered and a flickering schematic appeared. Some kind of autonomous weapons platform shaped like a serrated crescent. "Behold the Godsicle," the Divine One intoned. "My personal design. Nigh indestructible, brimming with the most sacred and powerful weaponry. Take it and scourge the humans from the stars." Zahn gaped at the specs. Singularity shells, temporality disruptors, dimensional shredders, weapons out of nightmare, powered by pinpricks of caged black holes. He swallowed hard and bowed his head to the deck. "It shall be done, Divine One." In high orbit over the green-blue jewel of Earth, a fleet gathered. Sleek silver ships emblazoned with the flaming phoenix sigil of the Terran Defense Forces. At their heart floated the frontier, now a legend to humans and Shkarana alike. On the bridge, Captain Singh studied the latest reports grimly. Shkarana ships had been sighted massing in a nearby system, clearly gearing up for another assault. "The Empire has a new weapon," stated General Takeshi Watanabe, his hologram flickering before her. "Something big. Energy readings are off the charts." Asha nodded slowly. She'd known the Empire would adapt after their initial defeat, but this quickly. What horrors were they preparing to unleash? "We've got a few new tricks of our own," she replied. "The Boffins have been working round the clock since the battle." She tapped a control and a hologram bloomed to life, a lumpy ovoid bristling with antennae and emitters. "Harmonic resonance projector," Asha explained, "designed to disrupt Shkarana's psychic abilities and sow confusion. If it works as intended, it should give us a critical edge." General Watanabe looked impressed. "You always were brilliant, Asha. Let us hope it's enough." The first indication of the battle was a sun going out. Astronomers gaped as the yellow dwarf star Ross 614 simply vanished from their scopes, its light and heat snuffed out in an instant. But the Terran fleet knew what it meant. The Shkarana had arrived, and they'd brought something capable of utterly annihilating a star. "All hands to battle stations." Asha barked. "Deploy resonance projectors now." Space rippled and twisted as the Empire fleet dropped into real space, reality groaning at their passage. At their heart floated a massive crescent of oily black metal, light sliding off its surface like oil. The Godsicle had come to reap. Shkarana crew across the enemy fleet reeled and cried out as the human projectors activated, assaulting their minds with pulsing waves of modulated psionic static. Orders became garbled. Coordination fell apart. Asha seized the brief advantage, ordering a full salvo of Arcuons and Kaidos. The human fleet rippled with launch flares, only for the missiles to erupt into squirming nests of fractured space-time, as the Godsicle's defenses simply unmade them. "All ships, engage," Asha roared. "We're going in." The human and Shkarana fleets crashed together like tidal waves, energy beams stitching the void and missiles crisscrossing the night. Ships flashed into clouds of molten gas, or flickered out of existence, dumped into dimensional rifts. The frontier jinked and twisted through the apocalyptic fray. her crew fighting valiantly against the Shkarana onslaught. But they were only buying time. The Godsicle hung in space, swatting down human ships with contemptuous ease as it began powering its main weapon. Asha watched a friendly cruiser simply evaporate under a pencil-thin beam of utter darkness. They couldn't stop it. Not like this. All ships, activate Tanuki Protocol, she ordered. I'll take a team to disable the Godsicle. The rest of you, survive. Fight on. For Earth, for humanity. Give them hell. As the fleet's cries of acknowledgement filled the bridge, Asha shared a long look with her XO. They both knew this was likely a one-way trip, but it had to be done. Asha gathered her most skilled crew, technicians and warriors both, armed and armored, carrying the most advanced weapons and tools humanity could devise. They boarded a stealth boarding shuttle and launched into the chaotic hellscape of the battle. The shuttle sliced through the mayhem, klaxons wailing as Imperial weapons probed, and fizzled off its bleeding-edge stealth systems. Asha gripped her pulse rifle and stared at the mission timer. 12 minutes until the Godsicle fired. 12 minutes to save humanity. The shuttle shuddered, and the hull screeched as it latched onto the Godsicle's flank like a hungry parasite. Asha slapped the hatch controls. It was time to take this abomination apart from the inside out. No matter the cost, the Godsicle would fall. One way or another, this mad empire's ambitions ended here. Asha thumped her rifle to max power and aimed down the sights as the hatch ground open. For Earth, for humanity, for the future, she exhaled and pulled the trigger, charging into the jaws of hell itself. The tide turns. The team fanned out around the chamber, setting up the powerful graviton charges they had brought specifically for this purpose. Asha kept watch on the door, pulse rifle at the ready, as Zoe and the other engineers worked feverishly to arm the devices. The plan was desperate, almost suicidal. Destabilize the artificial black hole powering the Godsicle, causing a cataclysmic chain reaction that would tear the doomsday weapon apart from the inside. They had mere minutes until the Godsicle's main weapon finished powering up and fired, annihilating Earth and all Asha held dear. Charges armed, Zoe reported tersely, sweat beading her brow. 30 seconds to detonation. Fall back to the shuttle, double time. Asha barked. The team needed no further urging, sprinting for the exit with the frantic speed of those who knew death itself nipped at their heels. They made it halfway to the shuttle when a fresh wave of Shkarana forces burst into the corridor ahead, psychic lightning blazing from their hands. Asha and her team skidded to a halt, diving for cover as energy blasts chewed into the bulkheads. Damn it, we're cut off. Sergeant Hawkins shouted over the din of battle. We'll never make it in time. Asha clenched her jaw, watching the mission timer tick inexorably down. 15 seconds. 14. 13. So close. They'd struck the mortal blow, but it seemed they wouldn't live to see their victory. It's been an honor serving with you all, she said, meeting the eyes of each of her remaining crew. Determination and unwavering resolve met her gaze. They knew the stakes. They were ready. Asha primed her last implosion grenade and rose from cover, tensing to charge the enemy one last time, to sell their lives as dearly as possible. Reality rippled and tore, the air screaming as if in agony. A sleek black transport shot out of a self-sealing dimensional rift just beside the human team. Disruptor rounds rained down on the Shkarana from the transport's turrets, blasting the aliens into smears of ruptured flesh. The hatch slid open, and a familiar face leaned out. Commander Tao, Asha's XO. His face was bloodied, but he grinned fiercely. Someone call for a ride, he quipped. Asha nearly collapsed with relief as her team scrambled aboard the waiting transport. The hatch slammed shut, and the ship leaped forward, tearing through the Godsicle's walls and blasting out into space beyond, even as the first of the graviton charges detonated. On the view screens, the humans watched in awe as the Godsicle shuddered and convulsed, eldritch energies bleeding from rents in its hull. The black hole at its heart raged out of containment, devouring the doomsday weapon from the inside out in a self-sustaining chain reaction of utter destruction. In moments, all that remained was an expanding cloud of exotic particles and debris. The godsicle, pride of the Shkarana Galactic Empire, had been vanquished. Impossible readings, spiked and sensor systems glitched out across the battle as the black hole evaporated, taking its reality-defying impossibilities with it. The Shkarana fleet reeled back in shock and mounting terror as their ultimate weapon disappeared in a cataclysm of unleashed spacetime. The human fleet, bloody but unbowed, seized the initiative and pressed the attack with renewed ferocity. Asha slumped against the bulkhead, exhausted but fiercely proud of her team. Those present and those fallen. They had struck the decisive blow. And now the tide had finally, irrevocably turned. On view screens across the fleet, the Terran Defense Force watched as the once mighty Shkarana Armada broke and scattered, mounting a panicked, fighting retreat. Overwhelming relief and soul-deep joy rippled through human space as the realization sank in. Against all odds, against the very might of a galactic empire, Earth and all her children had held the line. The day was won, but the war was not yet over. The Shkarana would regroup, consolidate their reserve forces. They could not let this humiliation stand. Reprisal would come, as surely as the rising of suns. But for now, for this shining moment, humanity reveled in the hard-won glory of their triumph. The godsicle was no more. The Galactic Empire had been shown the might and indomitable will of Earth. The galaxy would never be the same. And Asha, bloody and battered but fiercely determined, knew this was only the beginning of a new chapter for humanity, the dawn of their ascendance to the galactic stage. What came next would shape the destiny of worlds and civilizations yet unborn. And she would be there, standing tall alongside her fellow Terrans, to face it head-on, come what may. A new galactic order. In the glittering heart of the Galactic Empire's capital, a grand convocation was underway. Representatives from 1,000 worlds filled the tiered galleries of the ethereal sanctum, murmuring to each other in hushed, uneasy tones. At the fore of the chamber, upon the iridescent throne that had been the unquestioned seat of galactic power for millennia, High Ascendant Kshathra of the Shkarana rooted in silence. The Galactic Empire was reeling. In the span of mere cycles, the unthinkable had occurred. Their mightiest armada, led by the divine might of the godsicle itself, had been abruptly and decisively defeated by the upstart humans and their impossible technologies. The Shkarana had ruled the galaxy through sheer technological supremacy and the unshakable sense of manifest destiny for generations beyond counting. Now, doubt and recrimination rippled through the empire like a seismic shock, rattling the once unassailable foundations of their dominion. Kshathra wearily turned his ancient eyes to the latest reports. The losses were catastrophic. The godsicle destroyed. Fully half of their frontier command armada lost with all hands, the remainder scattered and demoralized. Unrest and rebellion flared on a dozen worlds as client species scented weakness from their masters. And to compound it all, the thrice-damned humans had refused their ultimatum for unconditional surrender. If anything, their defiance had only grown more bold in the wake of their victory. Even now, human fleets pushed the frontiers, striking deep into imperial space to disrupt supply lines and eviscerate repair yards. It seemed the humans grasped an essential truth. This was no longer a mere uprising to be crushed. It was an existential conflict for the fate of the galaxy itself, and they were pressing their advantage with a ruthless zeal that both infuriated and grudgingly impressed Kshathra. The humans were every bit as great a threat as the High Ascendant had always feared. "We must sue for peace," a reedy voice spoke from Kshathra's right, Old Saros, Grand Vizier and High Counselor. "Our losses are too great, our forces too scattered. We need time to recover, rebuild." "Unacceptable," thundered Kazan, staggering forward through the assembled ranks on cybernetic legs that still bore the scars of his defeat at human hands. "The glory of the Empire is ascendant. We must marshal our reserves, conscript from the client worlds." We will bury the humans in oceans of our blood and drown them in our fury. Raucous cries both for and against echoed through the sanctum as the nobility of the empire argued back and forth. K'athra remained silent, lost in thought. The words of his counselors faded to a distant buzz as his mind ranged down twisting paths of possibility, calculating and analyzing. There was wisdom in Saros's counsel and raw truth in Kazan's outrage. But in his ancient hearts, K'athra knew neither was the path forward. The humans had exposed exploitable cracks in the empire, fundamental flaws and fault lines that the High Ascendant now saw with damning clarity. The empire had grown slow and hidebound, stuck in its ways and too assured of its own supremacy, blind to the dangerous potentials of a rapidly advancing galaxy beyond their inward-looking domain. By devastating the Frontier Command, the humans had shattered that illusion and thrown those failings into stark relief. But the humans themselves, they were something special, something remarkable. Their fiery defiance, their relentless ingenuity and indomitable spirit. If the reports were to be believed, they had even found a way to free themselves from the shackles of entropy, achieving functional immortality through technology. K'athra saw it now with the clarity of epiphany. The Empire could not win this war, not without sacrifices that would leave it a hollow shell of its former glory. And even if they triumphed, the rot at the Empire's core would only continue to fester and spread. No, the path forward was not war. It was unity, alliance, a new order for a new age. The Empire must adapt or perish, and the key to that adaptation was humanity itself. K'athra rose from the iridescent throne, his voice booming out across the sanctum and silencing the squabbling nobility. "My people, the time has come for change," he intoned solemnly. "We stand at the precipice of annihilation, besieged by foes both within and without. The old ways have failed us, but there is yet hope." A ripple of confusion and unease spread through the assembly. Saros and Kazan looked to their leader in perplexity tinged with trepidation. K'athra spread his gilded arms wide. "We will make peace with the humans," the High Ascendant declared. "We will invite them to join us not as enemies, but as partners, as equals in a new galactic order that combines the best of both our peoples, human ingenuity, vitality, and ambition tempered by Shkarana wisdom, order, and deep history." Shouts of shock and outrage met his pronouncement, but K'athra plodded forward implacably. "A new age dawns," he roared over the clamor. "An age where Shkarana and humans stand as one, the twin pillars of civilization that will carry our galaxy to heights undreamed. This is my decree." In that moment, the course of galactic history turned on its axis. The ultimatum was sent to Earth, not of destruction, but of cooperation, of an offer to forge a new society, one that would meld human and Shkarana into a whole greater than the sum of its parts. Debate raged on Earth and across the fledgling Terran Confederation. Many urged for the Empire's destruction, to seize the moment and break the back of the ancient galactic hegemony once and for all. But wiser heads prevailed, veterans like Ashish Singh who had seen too much death and understood that this was a moment to win the peace, not just the war. The Empire's offer was accepted with the solemnity and caution it deserved. In a neutral system, diplomats and warriors met. Ashish Singh, now Chief Ambassador, stood across from a recuperated Kazan, each shadowed by a retinue of their most esteemed fellows. The negotiations were tense, fraught with old enmities and the fresh scars of war. But in time, through grit and compromise and shared vision, a new framework arose. The Galactic Compact was born, a mutual defense and trade alliance between the Terran Confederation and a reformed Shkarana stellar union. A binary system of two powers in balance, cooperating while retaining their autonomy and identity. The Godsicle conflict, as it came to be known, had changed everything. The stagnant rot of the old empire was swept away, replaced by a dynamic new order that harnessed the best of two mighty civilizations. Under the compact, a new golden age dawned. Human and Shkarana spread across the stars as allies, partners in discovery and stewardship of a galaxy full of wonders. Together they drove back the darkness of entropy, ushering in an era of peace, progress, and untold possibility. And on the terraformed moon of a distant world, in a memorial garden planted over rich earth carried from a dozen homeworlds, Asha Singh looked up at the stars with a smile both sad and deeply satisfied. The names of the fallen, human and Shkarana alike, were etched into the moonrock at her feet, forever commemorated. She thought back to that fateful battle, the losses and triumphs that had led to this new age, the memory of her fallen comrades, the fear and desperate fury of a species pushed to the brink. But most of all, she thought of what they had built from the ashes of that war. Two peoples, Terran and Shkarana, fingers of the same hand reaching out to grasp a future brighter than either could have achieved alone. The Galactic Compact was only the beginning. There were challenges and threats still to face in a dangerous cosmos. But Asha knew, with a deep, abiding certainty, that together they would overcome. For they had already achieved the impossible, forging unity and common cause from the crucible of existential conflict. The future was unwritten, pregnant with infinite promise and peril. But whatever lay ahead, humanity and their newfound kindred would face it as one. The godsical conflict had torn down the old order, so that a new and better one could rise in its place. And oh, what heights they would reach together, the wonders they would see, the discoveries they would make, the civilizations they would build between the stars. A shared destiny, a promise of eternity. Asha turned her eyes to the heavens and felt her heart swell with quiet joy and iron resolve. However long and winding the road, they would walk it together, human and Shkarana hand in hand beneath alien skies. It was, she knew, only the beginning. The end.